Welcome to another deep dive, and this time it's a topic I think we all crave to be better at,
Yeah.
connecting with people.
Yeah.
We're going deep into a program today built around John Maxwell's teachings, specifically for mastermind groups.
Interesting.
You share that you want to strengthen your personal connection skills,
Right.
and I think what we uncover here will have some great takeaways for you.
I think so too. What's interesting is how this program combines the deep wisdom of someone like John Maxwell with the practical, action-oriented structure of a mastermind group. It's like a recipe for turning insights into actual change. You know, you get that accountability and the group support.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me about this first session.
Okay.
It's called Connecting Increases Your Influence in Every Situation. What are the key takeaways here?
Well, the session kicks off with this story about John Maxwell himself having a light bulb moment early in his career.
Okay.
He realized his communication skills were more about getting by than genuinely connecting. And that sparked a journey for him to learn how to truly connect with people.
That makes me think about those times when I'm so focused on what I'm trying to say
Yeah.
that I miss what the other person is communicating. It's like I'm just waiting for my turn to talk instead of really listening.
Right. And that's a perfect example of what this program is trying to address.
Yeah.
One of the first things it dives into is the difference between just coping with communication and truly connecting.
Okay.
It's about moving beyond those surface level interactions and creating a deeper, more meaningful connection.
So how do they suggest going about that?
Well, this program highlights 4 barriers that often prevent us from connecting: assumptions, arrogance, indifference, and control. The guide uses this really powerful quote to illustrate arrogance. You can't build a relationship with everybody in the room when you don't care about anybody in the room.
Wow, that's a tough one to hear.
Yeah.
It's so true. You can't force connection. It has to be genuine.
Exactly, and it starts with addressing those barriers. Take assumptions, for example. We often make assumptions about people based on very limited information,
Right.
which can prevent us from seeing them clearly and finding that common ground.
I am definitely guilty of that.
Yeah.
I remember this one time. Oh, actually, go ahead.
Oh, well, and then there's indifference, which the program describes as a subtle form of selfishness,
Okay.
where we just don't put in the effort to understand the other person.
I think we've all experienced that, those conversations where you can tell the other person isn't really present or invested.
Right. And then there's control, where we try to manage the interaction to avoid vulnerability or protect our ego. And that just puts up walls that prevent real connection.
So how do we overcome these barriers? Because I think we can all relate to struggling with at least one of them.
The program emphasizes cultivating what it calls a common ground mindset. This involves being more available and present in interactions, actively listening, asking questions, and practicing thoughtfulness.
So it's about making a conscious effort to connect.
Exactly. And the guide shares this really interesting story about a guy named Joe,
Coco.
who made a huge impression on John Maxwell simply through his thoughtfulness.
Interesting.
Joe was a driver who picked John up from the airport, and he had gone above and beyond to personalize the experience. He even had a gift for John's wife. It was all about the details.
I love that. It's a great reminder that it's the little things that make a big difference. So we've been talking about the importance of shifting our focus from self to others.
Yes.
But I'm curious to know more about how we actually put that into practice.
Well, that's where session 3 comes in. It dives into the idea that connection is about so much more than just words. It's about how we show up in our interactions.
Oh, this is where it gets really interesting.
Yes.
Because I know intuitively that nonverbal communication is important, but I'd love to get a clearer understanding of how it all works.
Well, the guide reveals a pretty mind-blowing statistic. Over 90% of communication is nonverbal.
Wow. 90%. That's a lot bigger than I would guessed.
It really emphasizes the importance of things like facial expressions, body language, tone of voice, and even our appearance. They all play a crucial role in how our message is received.
So it's not just about choosing the right words, it's about creating a complete experience.
Exactly. The program breaks down connection into 4 components: visual, intellectual, emotional, and verbal.
Let's start with the visual.
Okay.
What are some of the key takeaways there?
Well, the first thing is about being aware of how you're showing up visually.
Okay.
This means things like eliminating distractions, being aware of your posture,
Right.
and using body language that conveys openness and engagement. Think about those little things that can subconsciously make you question if someone is really listening.
You mean like when someone is constantly checking their phone while you're talking to them?
Exactly. Or if someone is fidgeting or avoiding eye contact,
Yeah.
it sends the message that they're not fully present.
I've definitely been on the receiving end of that.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good.
Right. It's about sending the right signals through your visual presence.
So what about the intellectual component?
This is about connecting on a mental level. It's about demonstrating that you're not just a good listener,
Right.
but also knowledgeable and insightful.
So it's about having something valuable to contribute to the conversation.
Precisely. And the program highlights two key elements here: knowing your subject and knowing yourself.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
If you want to connect with someone intellectually, you need to be able to engage with them on a topic they care about.
Exactly. And knowing yourself is just as important.
Right.
It's about understanding your own strengths, weaknesses, and communication styles so you can show up authentically.
Because people can spot a fake a mile away.
Exactly. And that brings us to the emotional component,
Okay.
which is all about connecting on a heart level.
I have a feeling this one is going to be powerful.
It is. The guide emphasizes that people may hear your words, but they feel your attitude.
So even if you have the perfect words,
Right.
if your attitude is off, it's
Well-
going to undermine your message.
Exactly.
I remember one time, go ahead.
Oh, and that's why emotional intelligence is so important in communication.
Yeah.
It's about being aware of your own emotions and the emotions of others, and using that awareness to create a more positive and productive interaction.
This is all making so much sense. Okay, so we've covered visual, intellectual, and emotional.
Yes.
What about the verbal component? What are the key takeaways there?
It might seem obvious,
Yeah.
but it's about much more than just choosing the right words.
Okay.
Your tone of voice, pacing, and emphasis all play a crucial role in conveying your message.
So it's about how we deliver the words,
Yes.
not just the words themselves.
Exactly. Even something as simple as a monotone voice can make you sound bored or disinterested, even if you're actually passionate about the topic.
Or speaking too quickly can make it hard for people to follow what you're saying.
Right. It's about finding your own authentic style and using your voice effectively to engage your audience.
Right.
But even the most engaging speaker needs to bring the right energy to their interactions, which is exactly what we'll be unpacking in session 4.
I'm ready for it. Bring on the energy.
So we've seen how important it is to bring the right energy to our interactions, but what does that actually look like? Session 4 dives into this, emphasizing that connecting requires intentionality and effort.
Makes sense. You can't just passively wait for connections to happen.
Right.
You have to actively cultivate them.
Exactly. And the program shares some inspiring examples from John Maxwell's own life about how he goes the extra mile to connect with people.
I always find his personal stories so relatable. What are some of the examples he gives?
Well, one thing that stands out is his focus on remembering names.
Oh, yeah?
It's such a simple thing, but it can make people feel seen and valued
Yeah.
when you remember their name. He even shares specific techniques he uses to make it easier.
Remembering names is definitely a weakness of mine. I'll meet someone, have a great conversation, and then completely blank on their name 5 minutes later. It's so embarrassing.
Well, the guide actually talks about that,
Does it?
emphasizing that it's a skill anyone can develop with practice. It's about being mindful and making a conscious effort to remember.
So it's not just about having a good memory, it's about choosing to make that connection.
Exactly. Another example the program highlights is John Maxwell's commitment to making his visits personal.
Okay.
He takes the time to learn about the people he's meeting with, their interests, their families, their work. It's about finding common ground and showing genuine interest.
I love that. It goes back to that idea of shifting our focus from self to others. It's about making the other person feel like they're the only person in the room. It's not about trying to impress them with your own accomplishments or stories, but rather truly being present with them.
Absolutely. It's about creating a space for genuine connection. Now, you mentioned feeling like some people just have that it factor when it comes to communication. The next session, session 5, dives into that idea,
Okay.
debunking the myth that some people are just natural connectors while others are doomed to struggle.
I was hoping we'd get to that because honestly, I've always felt like I'm playing catch up when it comes to connecting with people.
Oh, I hear that. That's something a lot of people struggle with, but the program reframes this idea beautifully. It argues that connecting is a skill that can be learned and developed, just like playing an instrument or learning a new language.
That's such a relief to hear.
Yeah.
So what are some of the key skills that contribute to effective connection?
The guide highlights 5 factors that make people listen. Relationships, insight, success, ability, and sacrifice.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break those down for me.
Let's start with relationships.
Okay.
The program explains how leveraging existing relationships can help you build new ones.
hmm
It uses the example of Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz, who
Okay.
both initially gained visibility through Oprah Winfrey's show.
That's such a great example. It's like borrowing credibility from someone who's already trusted and respected.
Exactly. And then there's insight. It's about demonstrating that you have valuable knowledge and perspectives to share.
Mm.
People are naturally drawn to those who can offer insights that help them understand the world or themselves better.
It's like having that aha moment where something suddenly clicks into place.
Exactly. And that ties into success.
Okay.
People are often looking for guidance and inspiration from those who have achieved something noteworthy, whether it's in their career, their community, or even their personal life.
It's like we're drawn to the light of their experience, hoping to learn from their journey. But it's not just about what you know or what
Yeah.
you've achieved, right?
You're right. There's also ability.
Okay.
It's about showcasing your skills and talents, whether it's public speaking, writing, artistic ability,
Yeah.
or anything else that allows you to shine and connect with others who appreciate those talents.
I love that. It's about sharing your gifts with the world and letting your light shine.
Exactly. And finally, there's sacrifice.
Okay.
People are inspired by those who have made sacrifices for a cause, a belief, or for their loved ones. It shows a depth of character and a willingness to put others first.
It's like you're saying that genuine connection comes from a place of service.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Now, the guide also delves into the specific skills involved in connecting with different types of audiences: a live audience, one-on-one, and through the written word.
Okay, this is where I need some help. I know you're a master of connecting with people,
Well,
but public speaking is definitely my kryptonite.
don't worry. The guide offers some great tips from Charlie Wetzel, a well-known speaker and author.
Okay.
He emphasizes the importance of confidence, not arrogance,
Right.
but a genuine belief in yourself and your message.
Okay.
He also talks about being authentic, thoroughly prepared, using humor effectively, and focusing on the needs of the audience.
I appreciate that he doesn't sugarcoat it. It takes work.
Yeah.
What about connecting one-on-one?
Yeah.
Does John Maxwell share any insights on that?
He does. He describes his personal strategy, which he calls intentional inclusion.
Intentional inclusion. I like the sound of that. What does it involve?
It's about making a conscious effort to include others in your life and conversations. He talks about going to where people are already gathering and actively including people in his experiences.
So it's about being proactive and creating opportunities for connection, not just waiting for them to happen.
Exactly. And finally, the program touches on connecting through the written word,
Yeah,
which can be challenging because you don't have those non-verbal cues to rely on.
I've definitely struggled with that. It's so easy for things to get lost in translation when you're communicating through text.
Well, a guide emphasizes writing in a way that feels conversational and engaging,
Right.
like you're talking directly to the reader.
So finding your voice
Yeah.
and letting your personality shine through, I can see how that would make a big difference.
It's all about making that connection no matter the medium. Now, the next session dives into another crucial element of connection: finding common ground.
That makes sense. When you have something in common with someone, it instantly creates a sense of connection.
Yeah.
It's like you're speaking the same language,
Yes.
even if you come from different backgrounds.
You're absolutely right. And the guide highlights the importance of overcoming those same 4 barriers we talked about earlier: assumptions, arrogance, indifference, and control.
It's amazing how those 4 things keep popping up. It really shows how detrimental they are to genuine connection.
They're like roadblocks on the path to connection. The good news is the program offers practical strategies for navigating around them.
I'm all ears. How do we overcome these barriers when it comes to finding common ground?
It starts with cultivating that common ground mindset we talked about. It's about being present and engaged, asking questions, actively listening, and being thoughtful in your interactions. The guide emphasizes the importance of understanding the other person's feelings, seeing things from their perspective, acknowledging their knowledge and experience, and understanding their needs and motivations.
It's like you're saying that finding common ground requires us to step outside of our own perspective and truly see the world through the other person's eyes.
Exactly. It's about creating a space for empathy and understanding.
I can see how powerful that would be for building connections. But what about when you're communicating across cultures? How do you find common ground when there are language barriers and different cultural norms to consider?
That's where the program's 3S strategy comes in.
Okay.
Keep it simple, say it slowly, and have a smile.
I love that. It's so straightforward and practical, and it highlights the importance of being respectful and mindful of cultural differences. I remember a time when, oh, go ahead.
It's all about bridging those gaps and finding those points of connection, no
Yeah.
matter how different our backgrounds may be.
This is all so insightful. I feel like I'm starting to see communication in a whole new light. It's not just about getting your point across.
Right.
It's about building bridges of understanding and connection.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And I think the next session will really resonate with you as it focuses on the power of simplicity in communication.
You know, after all this deep diving, a little simplicity sounds pretty appealing. I'm ready to hear more about that.
So you're ready to explore the power of simplicity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
After diving deep into all these nuances of connection, I'm ready for a little clarity and simplicity.
Yeah.
It's like coming up for air after a deep dive.
I love that analogy. And session 7 of the program is all about doing the difficult work of keeping it simple.
I have to admit, I'm a little surprised to hear that it's difficult work.
Right.
It seems counterintuitive that simplicity would require so much effort.
The program argues that simplifying complex ideas takes a lot of intentionality.
Okay.
It's about getting to the heart of your message and presenting it in a way that's clear, concise, and easy to understand.
It's like that quote, I would have written a shorter letter, but I did not have the time.
Exactly. Brevity and clarity require careful thought and effort.
Right.
And the program starts by addressing a common misconception that simplicity equals being dumb.
Oh, I've definitely encountered that belief. Like if you're not using big words and complicated jargon, you're not intelligent.
Right, but effective communication is about connecting with people, not showing off your vocabulary.
Yeah.
The program makes the case that stories are one of the most powerful tools for simplifying communication.
Now that I can get behind,
Mm-hmm.
everyone loves a good story. They're so engaging and memorable.
Exactly. The guide highlights 4 types of stories that are particularly effective for connecting with people. Stories with humor, stories with heart, stories with hope, and stories with help.
I love how they break it down like that.
Yeah.
What are some of the qualities that make a story humorous? I'm guessing it's more than just telling a joke.
Of course. A humorous story should be relatable and lighthearted.
Right.
It can help to break the ice and make your message more memorable.
Okay.
Think about a time when someone told you a story that made you laugh.
Yeah.
What were some of the elements that made it so funny?
Well, it definitely helps if the storyteller is a good performer.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it also needs to be something you can relate to, a shared experience or a funny observation about life.
Exactly. And what about stories with heart? What makes those so powerful?
I think those are the stories that really stay with you. The ones that evoke strong emotions,
Yeah.
like empathy, compassion, or even sadness.
Right.
They can really create a connection on a deeper level.
That's a great observation. Now, stories with hope. What do you think those offer the listener?
I think those are the stories that lift you up and inspire you. The ones that leave you feeling optimistic and motivated. They paint a picture of a better future and give you the courage to pursue your dreams.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard a story that really gave you hope?
Definitely. And I think those stories are especially powerful when you're going through a challenging time.
Yeah.
They can remind you that things can and do get better.
Absolutely. And then there are stories with help.
Yes.
What purpose do you think those serve?
Those stories provide practical guidance or solutions to problems. They can empower the listener and give them the tools they need to make positive changes in their lives.
So they're not just entertaining, they're actually helpful and informative.
Exactly. Now, you might be wondering how to keep things simple when communicating across cultures.
Yeah.
Especially when language barriers or different cultural norms come into play.
Right.
The guide offers a 3S strategy for cross-cultural communication. Keep it simple, say it slowly, and have a smile.
It seems so obvious when you say it like that, but it's easy to forget those simple things when you're trying to navigate a complex situation.
You're right. It highlights the importance of being mindful and respectful of other cultures.
Mm-hmm.
The guide also provides a framework for simplifying communication in general, starting with talking to people, not above them.
So avoiding jargon, technical terms, and overly complicated language.
Exactly. It's about being clear and concise, getting to the point, and repeating your key messages in different ways to make them stick.
Repetition is key. But I think it's also important to make sure you're saying less, not more.
You got it. It's about cutting out the fluff and focusing on the essentials.
Right.
What resonates with you most about this idea of keeping it simple?
I think it's a reminder that communication isn't about showing off how smart you are. It's about connecting with people and making sure your message is understood.
Yeah.
And sometimes the simplest approach is the most effective.
You nailed it. Now, get ready because the next session explores how to create an enjoyable experience for your audience.
An enjoyable experience. Now, that sounds like something I can get behind. After all, shouldn't communication be enjoyable?
You would think so. But how many times have you sat through a presentation or meeting that was just plain boring?
Too many.
Session 8 dives into how connectors create an experience everyone enjoys.
I'm all ears. I'd love to learn how to make my communication more engaging and memorable.
Well, the guide emphasizes that it's the communicator's responsibility to create that enjoyable experience for the audience.
So it's not just about delivering the information, it's about how you deliver it.
Right.
It's about creating a connection.
Exactly. It's about being engaging, entertaining, and making sure the audience feels something.
So no more boring lectures and monotone presentations.
Right. It starts with taking responsibility for your listeners.
What does that mean exactly?
It means recognizing that there are no bad audiences, only bad communicators.
I love that. It takes the pressure off the audience and puts it squarely on the communicator.
Yeah.
We have the power to create a positive and engaging experience for our audience.
Exactly. It's about capturing their attention, making your message memorable, and keeping them engaged from start to finish.
Yeah.
The guide also emphasizes the importance of communicating in the audience's world.
Okay, what does that involve?
It means understanding their perspective, interests, needs, and values. It's about tailoring your message to their specific context and using language that resonates with them.
It makes sense. If you want to connect with someone, you need to speak their language, both literally and figuratively.
You got it. And that includes being mindful of their cultural background, as we talked about earlier.
Right.
What are some other ways we can create that enjoyable experience?
Well, the guide talks about the importance of capturing people's attention from the start.
Yes.
It sets the tone for the entire interaction.
Right.
What are some of their suggestions?
They recommend starting with a comment about the situation or setting, introducing yourself in a memorable way, being relaxed and authentic, using humor to break the ice, and creating a sense of anticipation for what's to come.
Ooh, I love that last one. Creating a sense of anticipation is so powerful.
Yeah.
It's like setting the stage for something exciting and intriguing.
Exactly. It's about piquing their curiosity and making them want to hear more. The guide also talks about the importance of activating your audience.
So getting them involved and making them active participants.
You got it. It's about making it a dynamic, two-way conversation, not just a one-sided lecture.
Right.
They suggest techniques like asking questions, incorporating physical activities, and encouraging discussion and group interaction.
Those are great ideas. It's all about making the experience more interactive and engaging for everyone involved.
Yes.
What else can we do to create that enjoyable experience?
Well, the guide also emphasizes the importance of making your message stick.
So not just delivering the information, but making it memorable and impactful.
Precisely. They recommend linking what you say to the audience's needs and interests, being original and standing out from the crowd, using humor effectively, incorporating shocking statements or statistics, finding creative ways to express your ideas, and learning to pause for emphasis.
I love how they weave in those practical tips throughout the program.
Yeah.
It makes it so much easier to actually apply these concepts in real life.
Absolutely. And they also talk about the importance of being visual.
So using images, videos, props, or other visual aids to enhance your message.
Exactly. Visuals can be incredibly powerful for conveying information, evoking emotions, and making your message more memorable. And they can help to break up long blocks of text or speech, making your communication more dynamic and engaging.
Right.
But even without fancy visuals, you can use descriptive language to paint vivid pictures with your words.
It's like storytelling, which, as we already discussed, is a powerful tool for connecting with people.
You got it. Stories are a universal language that can transcend cultural barriers and language differences.
Yeah.
They can help you connect with people on a deep emotional level and make your message truly resonate.
This is also insightful. I feel like I have a whole new toolbox for creating an enjoyable and memorable experience for my audience.
Good.
But I'm curious about the next session. How do you go from creating an enjoyable experience to actually inspiring people?
That's a great question. And session 9 dives right into that, exploring how connectors inspire people.
Okay.
It starts with a simple but powerful equation: what they know plus what they see plus what they feel, inspiration.
I love that. It breaks down inspiration into its core components.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on each of those elements?
Of course. What they know speaks to the importance of understanding your audience.
Okay.
The guide suggests asking yourself 3 key questions.
Okay.
What are they thinking?
Yeah.
What are they saying? And what are they doing? It's about going beyond just listening to their words and really tuning into their thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
So it's about being a keen observer of human behavior.
Exactly. And then what about what they see?
Well, that's about you as the communicator, right? People need to see your conviction, your credibility, and your character.
Exactly. And finally, there's what they feel, which the guide emphasizes as the most important factor in the inspiration equation.
It makes sense.
Yes.
Inspiration is an emotional experience.
Absolutely. And the guide highlights 3 key feelings that are essential for inspiration: passion, confidence, and gratitude.
Okay, break those down for me. What does it mean to convey passion in your communication?
It means showing genuine enthusiasm and excitement for your subject and for your audience.
Okay.
It's about letting your passion shine through and connecting with your audience on an emotional level.
It's like you're saying the passion is contagious. If you're excited about what you're talking about, your audience will be too.
Exactly. And what about confidence?
Well, I imagine that's about believing in yourself and your message and projecting that confidence to your audience.
Yeah.
It's about making them feel like they're in good hands.
You nailed it. And lastly, there's gratitude. How do you think gratitude plays a role in inspiration?
Gratitude is about appreciating your audience and the opportunity to share your message with them.
Yes.
It's about making them feel valued and respected. It's about recognizing that you're not just talking at them, you're sharing something meaningful with them.
Beautifully said. Now, the program also emphasizes that inspiration is not just about feeling inspired. It's about taking action.
Okay?
It's about moving from know-how to do now.
So it's not just about feeling good, it's about doing good.
Exactly. And they suggest 2 key actions: saying the right words at the right time and giving people an action plan.
Okay?
What are your thoughts on those 2 actions?
Well, saying the right words at the right time is about being mindful of the context and choosing your words carefully to maximize their impact. It's about being both strategic and sensitive with your communication. And giving people an action plan is about empowering them to take action on their inspiration.
Yeah.
So bridging that gap between feeling inspired and actually making a change.
That's a great way to put it. They even provide a helpful acronym, ACT, to create an action plan.
Okay.
A for the things you need to apply, C for the things you learn that you need to change, and T for the things you learn that you need to teach.
I love how they break it down into those actionable steps.
Yes.
It makes it so much easier to put inspiration into practice.
It does. And remember, inspiring others is an ongoing process.
Right.
It's about constantly seeking out ways to make a positive impact on the world.
It's a way of life, not just a one-time event.
Exactly. Now, get ready for the grand finale, the 10th and final session of this program, which focuses on how connectors live what they communicate.
I'm excited to hear more about this. After all, authenticity is the foundation of any meaningful connection.
You're so right. And the program starts by highlighting the importance of credibility.
Credibility is everything. If you don't have credibility, you've lost your audience before you even begin.
Exactly. And the program makes a powerful statement. Credibility is the currency for leadership and communicators. With it, they are solvent. Without it, they are bankrupt.
That's a great analogy. It really highlights the importance of building and maintaining trust.
And one of the key takeaways from this session is that while communication can initially override credibility in the short term,
Okay.
in the long run, credibility always overrides communication.
So you might be able to fool people for a while with your words, but eventually your actions will speak louder.
Yeah,
It's about walking the talk, not just talking the talk.
precisely. It's about aligning your words and actions so you're living a life that's congruent with your values and beliefs.
Right.
The program calls this the trust test, and it emphasizes that over time, the way people live outweighs the words they use.
So it's about showing up consistently and authentically. It's about being the same person in private as you are in public.
Exactly. The program goes on to offer 8 suggestions for living a better message,
Okay.
starting with connecting with yourself.
Connecting with yourself, what does that entail?
It means taking the time to understand your own thoughts, feelings, values, and beliefs.
Okay.
It's about being self-aware and comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
It's about developing a strong sense of self-love and acceptance.
That's beautiful. Because
Yeah.
how can you connect authentically with others if you're not connected to yourself?
Exactly. The next suggestion is to right your wrongs.
So taking responsibility for your mistakes and making amends.
Precisely. It's about being accountable for your actions and making things right when you've messed up.
It's about having the courage to admit when you're wrong
Right.
and to do what you can to repair any damage you've caused.
Yeah. The next suggestion is to be accountable,
Okay.
which builds on that idea of taking responsibility.
Right.
It's about following through on your commitments and being someone people can rely on.
Trust is built on consistency and reliability.
Exactly. The program highlights a key insight. When you make a commitment, you create hope. When you keep a commitment, you create trust.
I love that. It's a reminder that our actions have a ripple effect.
And the next suggestion is to lead the way you live.
So being a role model for the values and behaviors you espouse, walking the talk instead of just talking the talk.
Exactly. It's about demonstrating integrity in all your interactions and inspiring others through your actions.
And then there's telling the truth.
Yes.
Honesty is always the best policy.
Yeah.
But I think it goes deeper than that.
You're right. It's about being transparent and authentic in your communication, even when it's difficult.
Right.
The program shares a quote from Edward R. Murrow. To be persuasive, we must be believable. To be believable, we must be credible. To be credible, we must be truthful.
So truth is the foundation of trust and credibility.
Exactly. And that ties into the next suggestion, which is to be vulnerable.
Vulnerability can be scary, but it's also so powerful for building connection.
The program acknowledges that staying vulnerable is a risk we have to take if we want to experience connection. It's about letting your guard down and allowing others to see your true self, imperfections and all.
Because those imperfections are what make us human and relatable.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the next suggestion. Follow the golden rule.
Treat others as you want to be treated.
It's such a simple but profound principle.
It's the foundation of respect, empathy, and compassion.
And the final suggestion is to deliver results.
So backing up your words with actions and achieving tangible outcomes.
Exactly. It's about proving your credibility through your actions. As the program says, if you want to build the kind of credibility that connects with people, then deliver results before you deliver the message.
This has been such an incredible journey. I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of what it means to connect with people authentically.
I'm so glad to hear that. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final, thought-provoking question. Think back to those 4 unpardonable sins of a communicator: being unprepared, uncommitted, uninteresting, and uncomfortable. Which of those do you think you might struggle with the most? And what's one small step you can take this week to improve in that area?
That's a great question. And remember, becoming a master connector is an ongoing process.
Yes.
It's about constantly learning, growing, and challenging yourself to connect with others on a deeper level.
Beautifully said. Until next time, keep diving deep into the world of connection and see what wonders you uncover